Hello, everyone, and welcome to Heroes in the Halfcast. This is a special episode regarding recent events in the IDW comic. This is Venka the Lavender Ninja, and I'm also joined today with Mark Rodriguez, the Orange Ninja. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm here from Video Game Masters '09 channel. You can check it out.
So, anyway, as everybody knows, Donatello was supposedly killed in issue 44. So, what are your thoughts about this event?
What I just say, I was just plain shocked about it. And honestly, I do know that issue 43 ended with the cliffhanger, I guess. Well, basically the turtles were gonna go to Dimension X, and so were the Foot and blah blah. And to make the long story short, Shredder left Bebop and Rocksteady with Donatello, and it was like basically at the first sign of betrayal, kill him. But then the thing is that issue 43 was full of so much action, so much stuff going on. Like I forgot all about that. That when on the last page, it basically ended with okay guys, we've been betrayed, kill him. I'm like, oh crap. And then we go to issue 44, and geez, I was surprised. I was surprised by like how totally messed up they got Donatello. They threw a giant computer monitor against them and everything. They smacked them with a keyboard across the face so hard the thing broke in half. You see all the computer chips and stuff flying out. I mean, geez. And then of course the thing is like it's like what people say is not what happened, it's how it happened. Bebop basically holding Donatello down while Rocksteady basically winds up his giant ass sledgehammer and bashes it violently against Donatello's shell. And even though we don't actually see it like the actual attack in action, it's all artistically whatever. Bebop's like, damn, you split him in half, man, and that's all we need to know. We're like, oh god.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we see blood on the sledgehammer, and the ending image is like the real kicker because you see what's really been done.
Yes, and let me remind you for people that have not heard our previous podcasts or have not, because I'm sure I mentioned that a couple of times, or have not read the comic books. In this version of the story, the Up Rocksteady basically keep their kind of sort of dumb incompetence, but I guess not as severe as the cartoon. They're not like that dumb, but they're still kind of like But as a trade-off, though, they're super strong. They're basically like unstoppable juggernauts. They could get shot at and stabbed, and like it doesn't really do anything to them. And I mean, usually they take down tons of guys, and usually it's something like a grenade to the face or something major that actually slows them down. Like to this time, the Turtles have not actually won a clean fight against them. It's just like a temporary whatever while they escape. They're just so damn strong in the comic version. So that really does show how they were able to take Donatello down in such a brutal manner without him defending himself, because they're just that strong in the IDW version.
Yeah. I mean, the gruesome twosome have always been despicable, even when they were mutant man children, but this is like literally evil to a whole new low. I mean, they hit him with a sledgehammer until his shell breaks, and then they essentially leave him for dead.
And you just walk off joking about it. Job well done.
Well, obviously, we know something like that was going to happen. I mean, even the way Donnie was looking at them at the end of issue 43, it's like he's not surprised with this turn of events.
Well, like I said, it's also in the way it was done. I mean, you knew they were gonna squish him. We just don't know exactly how. I mean, I was not predicting sledgehammer to the shell. That's what I was not predicting.
It kind of seemed like the two of them were salivating and waiting for the kill order to come. I mean, uh, like the Shredder, he would have betrayed Donnie either way. So it, regardless of whether he knew he had been double crossed or not. So, because the Shredder's an asshole, and if someone's going to make a dick move, it might as well be him.
Yeah, that's right.
So either way, Donnie was dead. That's why he was like saying the "I love you guys" to his brothers, because that typically when someone says something that personal, that means it's not likely we will see each other alive again.
And the thing that surprises me is that of all the turtles, it's surprising that's Donatello because, well, he's probably one of the most noticeable and most important guys on the team. I mean, basically, because he's the science guy, all the inventions, all the things, all the science stuff, and figuring out plans that require science, all fall on him. I mean, sure, without Leonardo, I mean, we do have the challenge of, well, who will lead the team, but somehow, I mean, someone steps up to bat, someone still does it somehow. Raphael's added muscle, so, I mean, there could always be some replacements. They could always call in Slash or something. And Mikey's just, well, basically he's the heart of the team. But again, but Donatello, I mean, he's the one that builds all the machines. He's the one that knows how to, unlock, things that require like machine trees to unlock and stuff. If a bad guy has some complex scientific plan, he's the one that can explain it away and everything. I mean, he's the most crucial part of the team and the most noticeable part of the team. It's like if you took out Donatello in the '80s cartoon, there would be like no Turtle Van, no Turtle Blimp, no Turtle Comms and stuff like that. And yeah, he's like the most dramatically. He like affects the team most dramatically with his absence.
Yeah, like I said before in an earlier episode of our podcast, I had said that you could remove Leo, Mikey, or Raph out of the team. They would still be affected, but they still function to some extent. Whereas if you remove Donnie from the team, everything will sort of fall apart because in their new age, they need him. Like, if it was like ancient Japan, yes, they wouldn't need him quite so much, but in this modern age, he's the one who knows the antidotes. He's the one who is the science guy, so he does all the technology and whatnot, and that's makes him very important to the team. And he also helps balance out everything, because otherwise you'd have like Mikey getting affected by the fact that Leo and Raph are at each other's throats.
Yeah. Now, one thing I do gotta say, I know they probably wouldn't dare to do this because I don't know, I don't see them doing something like that. But honestly, Raphael would have been the second one squished if they would do like a more anime approach because obviously Raphael would go insane with rage. They would tell him like, no, we gotta do it as a team or something. He would still go off on his own, try to fight them on his own, and he'd probably end up being the next victim due to the overwhelming odds. Because the last page does show Raphael in rage, and of course, I mean he's every bit entitled, but I mean, given the vast I guess I should say power difference between the characters in this particular case. I mean, yeah, he can be pissed all he wants, but I mean, how strong Via and Rocksteady are, honestly, what can you do against them? He won't do any better, is the thing. And if he was going against like a bunch of foot ninjas or whatever, that would kind of make more sense. But or even like Alopex or something. But to go against Via and Rocksteady, it's like I mean, all the rage in the world, but you're not going to do much better. You're going to end up being the next one squished when you're size break apart and stuff like that.
Yeah, he was definitely looking like he wanted to hunt down the animals who did this to his brother and make them pay. And like Leo, he's like standing in numb horror at the whole sight while he's trying to comfort Mikey. And Mikey is like literally the most heartbreaking one because he's standing there and crying.
Well, it's a mix between both Splinter and Mikey. I think is the most heartbroken ones.
Yeah, because Splinter has been there for like what, 20 minutes?
Yeah, but it's also like a heartbroken father seeing his son, in such a state.
Just sitting there cradling Donatello's head in his lap and saying, "My poor brave son."
Yes, but of course, this also raises the stakes and just how dangerous these bad guys are in this version of the series. Just how serious, how high the stakes are. Which, when you think about it, it's kind of sort of like the Mirage when they threw a half-dead Leonardo through the window and everything. I mean, considering that he was already beaten back half to death there, throwing him through a window for a big drop like that doesn't really help matters.
No, it doesn't, and we've seen that repeated in the 2003 and the most recent finale of the Nick version.
Yeah. So basically, I gotta say, I'm pretty shocked. I mean, yeah, I was kind of spoiled. It's very hard to get. That's what I hate about nowadays. All the internet stuff. It's just so hard to avoid spoilers. And even now, well, I think you might mention that later on, but I won't go into detail. But even now, they have not really spoiled the comics. Because nowadays they like to do something like maybe 2 weeks or so before the comics out, they would like to show like the first 4 pages or something to get you all enticed and stuff. And sometimes even the guys from the actual comic books would post in the Technodrome forum. They would say like, "Oh, I just can't resist" or something, and post like a random picture of like, let's say Slash hitting Leatherhead or something. So you'd be like, hot to be like, "Oh my God, Slash is gonna fight Leatherhead in this issue!" Like just to kind of whet our appetites. And now the next issue for the long-awaited 45 has been pushed to the end of the month, and so far there has not been any, 4 or 5 page leaks or anything. So everyone's like all up and down about it.
There has been a one-page leak where we see Donatello on life support.
And yes, that was the thing I was saying you were gonna get to that in a bit, but yeah, that was painful. But I think that was a leak, like that was like unintentional leak. That wasn't like the AEW guys giving you a preview. That was like just, and that was like the worst kind of leak ever. You know?
Mm-hmm. Because that kind of like cheapens the whole dramatics about what's going on. Because like everybody was expecting like, oh, this is the episode where one of the turtles dies, and oh, surprise, surprise, it's Donatello who's biting it, and everybody was yeah, they were like going on eBay and selling the comic books for very high prices because this is the issue a turtle dies finally.
Oh, there were articles all over Facebook like one of the turtles dies and all that and all over the place. But and yeah, I went to this
I think even comic book stores doubled the price on the issue.
I think so. Well, I couldn't find one except, well, I mean, I haven't gone to my regular comic book store and they put the books in the box anyway. So luckily mine was secure in the box, but I didn't know. So I went to this larger comic book store. We were at Zenkai Con, plug, and all sold out. I decided to just get it while I was there, but I all sold out, and I was like, oh, right, yeah, character dies. They would probably make a big deal out of it like that. But yeah, lucky for me, the guys in the comic book store still had mine in the box. So when I came back in town, I was able to get it. But geez, I completely slipped my mind because I don't know. I just don't really see them permanently killing off one of the turtles. You would think he would still be in a coma or some junk in the next issue, even without the spoiler, because I mean, I don't know. I just can't really imagine them really killing off a turtle like for good. I mean, because there's only four of them. There's only four turtles, and it's not like a big team of 5 6 turtles or something. Where I guess if it was a larger team, you could kind of lose one over time. But like it's like the infamous foursome from cartoons, movies, and everything. I mean, to think that they're gonna permanently kill one off, I mean, you just can't. And they're all such big characters. You can't think like, well, this is them without Leo, without Mikey, or without Raph, or in this case, of course, without Don. You just can't imagine the series continuing and going on forward, issue let's say 45 and up, with just three of them and having, I don't know, Slash or someone take the place, or even throwing a new version of Venus in there. I mean, you just can't imagine that. I mean, it just has to be those four guys.
Hmm. Yeah, because and as far as deaths go, the ones that you always see more likely are the deaths of Splinter, deaths of Leo, and death of Raph. Because I mean, we have because Splinter's the elder. Of course, the elder character passes on, and his students have to carry on with what knowledge they know, and we've had that in various incarnations, be it
Yes. Well, as for the characters like rap and stuff, that's always like alternate futures, alternate realities, stuff like that. Not like in the main story, though.
yeah, dream sequences, but he's the protector of the family, so of course he's going to get himself killed trying to protect everybody. And Leo obviously is the leader, so of course, destroy him, destroy the team.
Well, although I do kind of want to see that, though not, I mean, I do want to see that because it does make sense. Character, like when we know the characters, it would make sense for Raph to, against all orders, maybe like a little fight between Leo or something, because Leo won't let him go or something. But against all orders, just go out there, try to stop him, and he'd be like the next one to be squished. And that'll really make it like look even more dire because now it's just Leo and Mikey, and maybe some of the like Slash or someone can come in and help or something. Like I don't know, but it would be interesting if they take it that way. but it's kind of hard to tell because I don't know. It's one of the things about the comic book industry nowadays. Nowadays, everything has to be 4 or 5 issues long because it has to be just perfect for the graphic novel, for the what do you call it, the collected the trade paperbacks. It has to be all perfect trade paperbacks. You cannot have anything that's longer than 4 or 5 issues, and if it is, it has to be perfectly even. So let's say 8 issues or something, so you can still sell it like City Fall Part One, City Fall Part Two, and like perfect. You know, you can't have one issue end and another story arc end. So that when you buy the trade paperback, it's kind of weird that half of it is City Fall and the other half is something else. So that's the thing though. But honestly, if they were to continue the storyline, that would have been interesting if they just kept going on like with that route now.
Hmm. Like, I remember you expressing displeasure about the plan that was involving this. I mean, with uh, it being revealed that all the turtles were in on the situation where Donnie was acting on his own.
Yeah, they should have kind of kept that a little more near the end or something. But I don't know. I guess since they were planning this big kill Donnie reveal thing, I guess it would be kind of weird to look back in retrospect from that aspect. Maybe that's why they did it so quickly, because you know, the people writing the storyline would figure, well, they wouldn't have time to go back and explain to the readers that you planned this all along, because of course you're going to come home and find a near dead Donnie. So maybe that's why they did it that way. Now looking back at it, but from a normal standpoint, if everything ended in a different way, that of course didn't involve a casualty. I mean, yeah, it would have made more sense to not reveal that till more near the end or something. Keep the suspense going longer, keep people doubting, like, oh my God, is like Donnie really like going against the turtles, or has he really gone so insane that he's gonna even resort to siding with the Foot if that's what it takes to save the world? Like, oh my God, like keep the suspense going instead of like 2 pages later. Oh, by the way, it was Leo's plan all along, exactly as planned. Like I don't know.
Leo and Donnie's plan together, because remember, Donnie had this moment where he stormed off, and Leo follows him, and their conversation was like, "Yeah, you're right. The shredder needs to be taken down, but so does the Technodrome. But we can't take them both down at once." And Donnie like said like, "Oh, actually, I have a plan to do that." And the plan was that he would approach the shredder and make it look like he was willing to work with the shredder to get him to Burnout Island, because obviously the shredder wanted to take over the world and he's not going to let Krang destroy it. So
One thing I do gotta say though, and Leo's credit, is that nowadays now they're really doing, like, I mean, they really do put more planning, because I mean, Leo was always the leader, but when you really look down at it, he never really did much too complicated besides just okay, you guys take to the right, you guys take to the left, or you guys hide up there when I give the signal, attack, like little things like that. But it wasn't like big orchestrated plans. So like at least in the IDW version, this is like the most complex and most whatever plan he's ever intricate. That's what I'm looking for. Plan he's ever done. I like how he explained to Splinter. I like how at first he was still like trying to disagree with the whole no, but Shredder's more important, my son. Until he heard the rest of it, it's like, oh my God, what a totally ingenious plan, my son. It's so big. I mean, the closest we got is in the Nick version a little bit too, when Leo suggested to kidnap Bradford so I could hold him as like bait against Sever, because you already see good guys do that. You already see good guys like, well, they kidnapped our person, let's kidnap one of theirs, see how they like it. So that was kind of. But yeah, nowadays Leo seems to be thinking more outside the box, or they're really making him into a real like strategist here, like bigger plans, something more complicated than just take to the right, take to the left, let's hide, or to get the signal. You hold the artifact of doom there. That just is like, wow, they really did it right there with that UW one.
that's technically why Donnie is often depicted as being a second in command, because he's the strategist while Leo's the tactician, and together they tend to function at the same whole together. And they are sort of exploring that with the Nick show, because like we were commenting before in one of our yet to be edited episodes, that if that both sides of the argument were valid and they had both good ideas. And if they had collaborated, perhaps they would have been succeeded without anyone getting hurt. But either way, the either option, yes, Leo is going to go off on his own and face the Shredder and nearly get killed because of it.
But I gotta say though, another thing is I'm just pretty surprised in a way. Um, Before the stupid spoiler ruined everything. I mean, I was just surprised because like the IDW comic, I mean, it does try to get more in your face because of course it's a comic book and comic books do have less rules and restrictions compared to a cartoon for kids. That's the thing though. Everyone always needs to forget that whenever there's a cartoon, I mean, whenever there's a comic book of an established character that you see on TV and the cartoon, he's gasp actually stabbing somebody or something. Everyone seems to forget that, like, dude, that's how comic books have always been. I mean, Wolverine has always been hacking and slashing people since who knows when, and the Joker's been brutally murdering people since who knows when. So seeing Leo actually cut someone in the comic should not be that big of a shock, you know. But yeah, we had Shredder basically impale Casey, which somehow he still survived and everything, although that was shocking too. But other than that, the characters have never really done too many killing or anything like that. I've been avoiding. There was a big point that during the whole time that Leo was evil, he's never actually killed anyone. Like Shredder kept preventing that from happening for some reason and stuff like that. So to actually go to that level of violence with Donatello, that was pretty shocking though.
But Donnie didn't exactly allow his brothers to know that he was a hostage. Like, you notice Harold said, like, don't you think you should have told them? And Donnie responds by saying they have enough to worry about right now. And if they had kept it with the whole thing being Donnie acting on his own, and it could have been moments where maybe Leo is suspecting something's up and he's like debating about whether he should confront his brother about this or just assume that Donnie knows what he's doing and that he'll let them know when he feels he's ready. Because I don't see Leo honestly ignoring what kind of danger Donnie is putting himself in because they all know the Shredder cannot be trusted. And even if one of them was sort of willing to work with the Shredder, and I guess as far as believability, the Shredder would more likely believe Donnie would be willing to um, help the Foot than, say, Raph or Mikey. But
Well, there was two sides to it. I mean, on one side, they could have like once you know how it is. Once the fight's over and Crank's defeated and all that junk, Shredder could have still held Donnie hostage and forced the turtles to like drop their weapons, blah blah. You guys don't know, but I left two of my big guys with your turtle friend now, and if you don't drop your weapons now, he's gonna get it. Stuff like that. But on the other side, you know how it was. The turtles were also hoping that if they were lucky enough Krang could have taken out Shredder for them. Basically, they could have taken each other out.
well, did the Shredder even know that the other turtles were on Borneo Island?
No, I'm not sure he knew. I'm not sure he realized that.
Yeah, so as far as he knew, Donnie was like just acting on his own and without, well, his brothers or something were doing whatever.
Yeah, that's right. So basically, if it wasn't for I think Krang's dialogue, Shredder would have no reason to suspect he was being betrayed. Yeah, that's a good point. They never saw the turtles at all. The Shredder, the Foot, his forces. None of them ever. They were too busy fighting Krang and them. They never even noticed the turtles were there.
So Shredder would have just given kill orders like, oh, yes, we've won. Kill the turtle.
True, but at least in that case, I mean, yeah, he would still do that. He's a douche that way. But at least in this case, the turtles would have come home and hopefully stop him or something. I don't know.
Or certainly come home to see the act happen.
Yeah, but the weird thing is that was so strange though. I mean, I don't know. I guess you expect Shredder to put up more of a fight too. I mean, I wasn't expecting Krang to basically just leave the Shredder like a piece of crap there and just go pursue with his plans. I was expecting like a more drawn out battle where both of them would be like in serious condition and junk like that. Basically, it kind of backfired in that case because honestly, if Krang took Shredder out or knocked him out or something, I mean. He wouldn't be able to give the kill order. He'd be like down, and everybody would be so busy, like, "Oh my God, our master, our leader's down," that they wouldn't even think about like be up Rocksteady at that moment. They would be too busy tending to him or whatever. But that was the thing, though. That was so strange. I mean, we weren't expecting. I mean, I wasn't expecting that either. For basically, for lack of words, Shredder to go down like a bitch so fast.
Krang is powerful, and of course, he's not exactly something that would be as easy to deal with like say, OT Krang. Krang is powerful, and of course, he's not exactly something that would be as easy to deal with, like, say, OT Krang.
Yeah, but one thing I gotta say though, Shredder's like strange though. He seems to be like I don't know. He's not like that powerful in the comic book. I mean, he's good for like manipulating people, messing with your mind, hypnotizing your loved ones, and turning them against you, so he could like laugh at the heartbreak caused and stuff like that. But when it comes down to actual fighting, like all four trolls can take him down somewhat easily when in other versions it's like he could take them all down all at once and stuff. Krang, like I said, basically beat him like a bitch instead of him. I mean, he didn't even like damage the armor or slice an arm off or anything basically. And that's another thing. I mean, they could have an advantage that Krang could have like tried to do his plans, but due to him being a bit banged up and damaged after fighting Shredder, it would have been easier for Turtles to take him down, but no, Krang basically attacked him good as new. He barely had any damage. And it's like, yeah, I mean, the only person that kind of sort of, I guess, I forgot the fight between Shredder and Splinter. I know that Shredder kicked him in the shin so hard they broke the bone or something like that, but yeah, I mean, he doesn't really seem to be like all that strong in the comic compared to like other versions where he's almost unstoppable.
Maybe they are acknowledging he's actually human. I mean, OT Shredder was also stoppable, but then again, he also acknowledges, like, yeah, the turtles are going to show up anyway because they're the title characters, and it was meant to be a joke. Then there's Utrom Shredder, and of course, you're dealing with alien technology there. And then we have uber insane Macho Shredder in the next version. Yeah.
But it is strange though, with all the well, first of all, of course, he is the Shredder, the main villain and everything. He's the Foot, and he has all these master plans. But it just felt weird that when it came down to the actual fight time, all four turtles took him down instead of like and yeah, so it's kind of strange. And now with like I said, I was expecting more of a fight. I mean, like Krang could have still won, but he should have been more banged up or sliced up, or like I said, like maybe one of the robot arms got sliced off, something like that, like more damage after the fight instead of looking like he was just like basically just a warm up.
In the Turtles in Time issues, in uh, issue 2, they had the turtles essentially learning that they caused the. Well, they didn't really learn this, but it was sort of revealed that the turtles caused their own execution, or the execution of the family that they were reincarnated from.
Yeah, I know. They always there's always strange um time loops and things. It's I think one of the Mirage comics also mentioned that the turtles inadvertently taught, the people who would eventually lead the Foot Clan, very basic martial arts and ninjutsu moves that they would be so inspired and whatever, and we'll form a clan and we'll call it, we'll like take steps forward or so. That's what we'll call it, the Foot. So it's like without knowing, the turtles actually create their own clan that would give them so much trouble in the future. It's like so weird. Like they always I mean, lots of stories do that kind of weird time travel thing.
And we don't really, and you could take it as canon or not, because you know that it's just like a little side story that's going on, and that may or may not coincide with what's actually going on in the series. So, like Donnie saying that he wanted to quit, for example.
Exactly. We'll have to see what happens here. I'm just curious where the storyline's going to go from here. At least in Crank's case, him and his forces were temporarily taken down because he's going to come back sooner or later, whatever. And now it's up to. I'm sorry.
He'll come back eventually, that's for certain, because I don't think his story's completely ended.
Yeah, but he's like on hold for now. He'll come back, 10 issues later or something. And now it's about the Foot, so I guess it's kind of weird. It's lots of things going on. Shredder's taken out, and as far as everyone knows, at least right now for the time being, no one knows that he's alive still. So he could have just died on Burnout Island for all they know.
The last we saw of him, Baxter Stockman was taking him away, and he's like, "Who are you?" And he.
Exactly. But in terms of the Foot, though, no one knows what happened to him. I can imagine that whenever Koya and Bludgeon go back, and like, well, what happened? Where's the master? Like, oh, he's dead. We're sorry. We tried. He's dead. Krang killed him. The island, whatever. So they don't know. So that's the thing, though. Now with Splinter filling her head with ideas and everything, she might try to lead the Foot, I guess, in a different direction or something until whenever Shredder comes back. Because that would be interesting too if just like how Donnie might take a couple issues to recover. Let's give Shredder some issues or so to recover before he comes back and see what the Foot does in his absence and see what he does when he comes back and tries to reclaim it. Because they could also do it that way. And another thing, of course, well, last thing I just want to say though before we go back to Donnie is Baxter Stockman basically shoving his own foot in his own mouth basically because in other versions Shredder grabs him, kidnaps him, or whatever, and forces him to work with him. In this version, Baxter himself grabs Shredder, and you can tell that whatever plans he has, whenever Shredder gets back to 100%, he'll be bossing him around, and Baxter has no one to blame but himself because he's the one that grabbed him and everything. I mean, I don't know what plans or what intentions or whatever he had in mind or what kind of proposition or whatever he has in mind for Shredder, but once Shredder is back to 100% and healed and all that good stuff, it's not going to look good for Baxter. Don't know what the hell he was thinking. But anyways, what were you going to say about Donnie?
I guess we can assume that yes, Donnie will recover because I noticed with the people who have seen the actual image or the actual leaked page, as it were, uh, they tend to take one of the lines that Splinter said really literally because um, let's just say Splinter says like Donnie's spirit is trapped within a machine and they are like, oh, maybe this means his spirit is controlled by Metalhead or his or Donnie's spirit or mind it resides in Metalhead's body and I don't think that's the case. I think it was
Honestly, I seeing how Via Rocksteady just threw him away like a crappy little toy. I honestly hope not, unless they give Metalhead some kind of super badass upgrade.
yes, I mean, I know with the Fugitoid he's a ghost in the machine, but this, but I don't think it really works that way in the Ninja Turtles universe that much. So odds are that was just like a metaphorical saying, a way of saying that Donnie needs a machine to keep him alive.
Yes. Another bizarre thing to mention for people that are big fans of the Image comics, Donatello, I think he like fell off a building or something and cracked and landed right on his shell, just like destroying it or something.
He was first shot on their birthday, no less. Their 18th birthday, Donatello gets shot in the first page, no less. And then this woman who says that she's the Shredder's daughter, named Pimiko, shows up. She kidnaps Splinter and Donnie, puts them both in a helicopter, and Donnie manages to recover enough to like grab one of the cyborgs or some the cyborg henchmen, and he falls out of the helicopter.
Yeah, but from what I gather, when he landed, like his shells either cracked or completely destroyed, and he was dying because lack of shell. But then, because turtle shells are attached to their spines and all that for people that don't know about basic turtle anatomy out there, and Cyborg somehow fused or whatever to him.
Before that happened, he like mentally was able to reach Leonardo and tell him like what happened, and they find a skeleton and a broken turtle shell, and Leonardo's like, no, no, that's not Donnie, and both Raph and Mikey are like, get off it, Leo, Donnie's dead, let's move on.
I remember that, but that doesn't because like okay, now that we actually see Cyborg Donnie though, how the hell do you explain the skeleton with the shell? What the hell is that then?
Leo knew it wasn't Donnie because the skeleton in the shell had 5 fingers. So he's like, no, that can't be Donnie because Donnie has 3 fingers.
That was probably I guess the cyborg guy skeleton. I don't know. But either ways, yeah. So Donnie was a cyborg for most of this comic series, and I guess he had to battle for himself, his control, because the cyborg would take control. So it was kind of a battle of minds until eventually Donnie would have full control of himself and everything. And this was to be continued. I mean, to be considered Volume 3 before later on it got canceled midway and never got a proper ending. Yes, I do know for people out there that are in technical forums, before you all say something, yes, you do have a guy that actually worked making like these two fan comics that try to wrap it up the best they could, But by the time Peter Laird came back to make Volume 4, he basically doesn't count Volume 3 as canon. But it would be interesting seeing how IDW does take a little, okay, maybe a lot, of the old cartoon and a couple of Mirage elements and a couple of the 2K3 elements in regards to Angel anyway, and stuff like that, and to like make Donnie maybe a cyborg here so they could have something that reflects the Image comic. Cause that would be interesting though, because not even the Nick cartoon has done anything that mentions or references anything that happened in the Image series, because it's supposed to be the whole, oh my god, Peter Laird does not consider this to be real, therefore we must pretend it never existed. But to have a possibility of a cyborg Donnie in the comic for a while or something, that would be an interesting callback to series that most people may not know too much about.
Well, yeah, because at the very least, even if Donnie does wake up, it is safe to assume that his back is broken. So he's not going to be the fighter he once was. And I can like assume like maybe in his darker moments he wishes he had died that day because he would see himself as a burden on everybody else.
Yes, of course they could always just take him to a cave, tie a rope around his back, and just pull it real hard. They should snap his back right back into place.
That's not how it.
Okay, well, it worked for Batman. I just figured. You did see The Dark Knight Rises, right?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like, well, I'm sure some of you guys out there have seen it, whoever's listening to this podcast. But yeah, that was the thing that we were like, everyone was like, what? Because just like the comics, Bane broke Batman's back, and he spent most of the movie trying to regain mobility until this random dude tied a rope around his back or whatever, and just yanked it real hard, and whoop, there you go, popped back into place. You're ready to go now. Everyone was like, what?
Usually when you break your back, you're lucky if you're still alive.
Exactly. Or lucky we can ever walk again, but like I said, so that's a Batman. And that's another thing. That's another thing that people are also considering is that, well, we're like 5 issues away from issue 50, and everyone's predicting like, oh my god. For me, I don't know. I know special. I know like they might have like a special cover and a gazillion variants, so they might even bring Laird himself to put his little fingerprint on it. I don't know. They're gonna make a big deal out of it because it's issue 50. But as far as I'm concerned, it's just another issue. You shouldn't have to mess around with the storylines or do whatever or rush everything out the door just so that issue 50 can be like super epic. But the thing is, basically speaking, based on that, they have 5 issues to somehow, I guess you should say, resolve this so that when you buy issue 50, it's all 4 turtles on the cover, ready to kick ass and something something. So that's interesting how they're gonna do that.
Yeah, so I could certainly see like maybe some depressive moments from Donnie at this time if he does wake up, but then maybe perhaps April and with the help of Howard and stuff can create like some robotic bracings that he can use to actually fight with, so that way he doesn't need to feel like he's the useless member of the team.
Maybe you never know. And at first, I would probably say I would like disagree they would go that far, but yeah, the comic book really does go into like depressive things, and even the Mutables comic really surprised me that with the whole Mutagen Man scene, because I mean, yes, Mutagen Man really is like a horrible fate. You do not want to be like, like in his place, to be this weird massive organs in a big jar full of slime, basically. And like I said in the review, the 80s comic book, it just pays for laughs and everything. The Nick version was, of course, tragic and everything, but the comic version here, I mean, the first thing we see is him trying to hold a gun to his head and begging for old Hob and them to just put him out of his misery. And honestly, that's something most people would probably do in that condition, but we just never actually see that happening in a comic book. So it does go into those kind of depressive themes. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did show, Donnie being depressed and having thoughts and wishing he died that day and stuff like that. It could also be an excuse as to where he first developed his whole he wants to quit mentality.
Well, I know he wanted to quit mentality came from meeting his future self because his future self essentially said like the only reason he existed is because he gave up fighting, but his brothers continued.
And that's the thing though. That's the thing. After having such a like, it's like, like in real life, if you're a cop or something and you got shot multiple times, and for whatever reason somehow you still manage to survive, you're going to be very hesitant to just go right back out there again. So that could be the big thing. That could have been the big event that happened after getting the shell cracked and so close to death, and who knows what, comic book mumbo jumbo they'll make up to somehow make them back to 100%. That could be the thing that, like, yeah, I am not going to put myself in a position of that kind of position ever again. I quit. I mean, you guys want to keep playing your little ninja games with Shredder and stuff, yeah, go right ahead. But me, no, I quit.
I like how they made that Turtles in Time thing very vague. He just said like I'm still alive because I quit. I tried to convince my brothers that we were fighting a losing battle, and they continued to disagree, and they fought in faith alone because they didn't want to believe that they had already lost.
And exactly, and that's the thing right there. It's like, dude, look what happened to me. Like, geez, I'm lucky to still be here, and yet you guys want to continue and go out there. Like, no, we gotta quit.
We also see future Donnie also on his feet and able to fight more or less fairly well. So, you know,
Most what I'm saying though, I mean, he got cured, but like I said, after you get cured from something like that, you really don't want to put yourself in a position where you could get crippled even worse second time. I mean, you might not survive the second sledgehammer.
yeah, that's true. In the aftermath of the whole storyline, Donnie is like explains like what he had talked about with his future self, and he says, "I don't know why, but you guys all died because of me."
It could be hinted, like I said, with the whole Raphael going out. It could, I mean, it could be like that. It could be that they all slowly get killed because they all went for revenge one by one.
Yeah. Well, the next arc is called Vengeance, so that would be like Vengeance of the Foot, and of course part of the arc will be the turtles wanting to avenge their fallen brother. And who do you see on the cover but Casey Jones? Less.
Exactly, but that's, I don't know. They're gonna do a big thing. That's another thing. It's so weird though, because like I said, for the moment, they would think Shredder's gone. I mean, we're the only ones, we that are the almighty comic book readers know that Baxter's got him. But as far as everyone else know, he's gone. So I wonder what Hun and them would think, because I mean, he's basically still with them out of obligation for the Shredder and everything. But now, what would he think when Casey tells him that one of the turtles got killed and blah 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 blah? He'll probably try to talk him out of it or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see PTSD because of this.
I forgot. Was Casey in the last page? I don't really remember offhand.
Casey wasn't even in the entire storyline. Like, I mean, we sort of see April in the background on some cases, like working with Howard when they are making the portal, but Casey's like on the cover page of the next issue.
Yeah, just see what happens. I don't know. I kind of like April. I mean, I always liked April the character, and of course, the '80s April. I always checked her out in general, but I always liked the newer comics or versions where you don't always have to cram her in somewhere. I like that she only appears more or less when she needs to be, when she has to do stuff. If she has no place, let's not put her in there. Because after a while, it was like conflicting as a kid. As a kid, I thought she was hot and stuff, but at the same time, there were episodes that were so obvious that did not really need her or the Channel 6 news people in it, and yet they would somehow still cram them in there for the last 5 minutes, or an extra joke or something, whatever. And I was like, oh god, this is so annoying. I just want to see the Turtles kick ass now. It's like, we don't need, Vernon and Irma's shenanigans in the comic, so in the cartoon. So whenever they put the 2003 cartoon, I was watching it. I mean, I kind of like the idea that there were episodes completely without her, because when it comes down to serious action or the Turtles are in another dimension that would make no. I mean, April wasn't even there at the beginning, so it would make no sense for her to somehow appear there. It would be cool to have episodes that don't have her at all, so they could just focus on action and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. I mean, April didn't really have like much to do with this particular storyline. She's not going to go to Dimension X and help fight Krang or anything, so it kind of made sense that she wouldn't be in it.
She will likely have been informed, if not being informed, about what has happened. And we know in a lots of versions or lots of the incarnations that April has had a particular close relationship with Donnie, both as kind of like a friend and brother figure. And Casey in this in the IDW also has like his own relationship with Donnie in some way, but it's more like he's Raphael's brother.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see how that goes. But now we got a new issue, we got a new story arc, and we'll see how exactly what happens. There's so many factors. Like I said, I hope they play it out in a smart way. I really do want to see what the Foot will do temporarily, thinking Shredder's gone, because that's a good arc to do. I mean, it could be, in fact, like I said before, since most of these storylines are always like 4 or 5 issues, so it could fit oh so perfectly in your trade paperback. They could have this whole vengeance arc take place without Shredder, just going against the Foot, going against via Rocksteady directly. Karai's conflicting issues, Hun's conflicting issues. What are Koya and Bludgeon gonna do now? In fact, it is the time for them to gain personality because all they are basically just Shredder's minions and that's it. So now without Shredder, now you have a chance to see like, okay, now who are we? What do we do? That kind of thing. So I mean, there could even be a conflict. Karai could even take over, and it could be like, hey, we were like here to follow Shredder, not you. We're not here to follow your orders. It could be like a whole lot of things that can happen. They could have that whole arc take place without Shredder being in it at all, and then, of course, the last page or so, it could end with him, like, coming back to perfect health, like, it's time to retake my clan, and start another story arc after that. And, of course, to find out exactly, whatever the hell Baxter wants to do with Shredder. It's just, like, so strange. I don't know. I really got no idea. Unless Baxter wants to make mutants and thinks that Shredder has access to more mutagen or something, I really don't know what the hell he's, planning with Shredder. That was like the most random, out of the blue thing. But we do know that he's gonna seriously regret it whenever Shredder gets back to normal.
So anyway, like there have been lots of views regarding this, and one person on the Technodrome contacted me directly, and this person's name is Taurus Val.
Shout out.
Yeah, I have been in contact with Taurus Val regarding speculations as far as like the upcoming episodes, like, particularly on one thread I'm involved on called Episode Idea Turtle Torture Edition. Plug, plug, plug. So his views, or her views, or their views rather, they said in regards to this recent tragedy, weirdly devastated is the feeling I get personally. Donnie has been my favorite for years alongside Leo. Considering I don't even follow the comics and I'm no stranger to superhero deaths, this hits strangely hard. Surprising on how it has hit everyone, to be honest. I found YouTube reactions where people are literally breaking into tears trying to describe it. It's harsh, but good God, I don't think it was that traumatic. On one hand, there was a general feeling of loss like losing a family member. The funny thing is, I can't really explain why, or even how I feel that way, and the logical part of my brain, I can't really figure it out. So, yes, I mean, I sort of agree with some of this person's views that yes, it has been a a larger loss because I mean with the other tragic events that have happened in the Turtles, they we kind of expect a lot of those situations to happen and that the Turtles are going to recover and move on, as it were. But um, this one, Donnie has been like really built up, and so even though we see it coming, we never really expect how brutal it's actually going to be.
Exactly. We didn't see how it happened. This is similar to the Joker being the living crap out of Robin with a crowbar, basically. If you think like, oh, this issue where Joker kills Robin, yeah, you don't expect him beating him to bloody death with a crowbar and then having the crowbar all bloodied up and smiling and being, whoa, that was fun. A little messy though. I mean that's almost the equivalent here with Rocksteady holding the sledgehammer and being like, oh wow, he split him in half. Whoa, hey, do you expect it to look like that under there? It's eerie comparison there. But yeah, but the thing is, I don't know. I think the reason why it probably would, I mean, I guess it would be shocking for some because this is the first time they've ever heard about one of the turtles dying. But again, I guess that also shows how obscure the Image comics were. Because it's like, dude, that's no big deal. Back in the '90s, they broke his whole shell off and he blasted half of Raphael's face off, dude. Stuff like that. That's just how obscure it was. But it's just I don't know. I mean, not many people, despite how popular the comic books are, and as a whole, most people don't really read comics that much. I mean, they know more about Spider-Man and the Avengers based on the movies, not so much in the comic books. That's when in the movies they could always bring up these characters that everyone's shocked about. Oh my God, Bucky Barnes is the Winter Soldier, but anyone that's read a Captain America comic book in the last 20 so years already knows that. So just like how they could make a movie where this random let's say humanitarian named Orakusaki appears in the movie and does nothing but nice and wonderful things throughout the whole movie, but you never actually see him and Shrek together at the same time, only to end the movie with him putting on a familiar helmet and looking at the audience with armor and shocking everyone. It's like, well, it might shock some people, but anyone that's ever read a Turtle comic book or watched the cartoon would know he was the Shredder since the first scene he appeared in. That kind of thing. So, not many people read the comics, and it's not that big of a shock because it's like, oh, he died in this comic I don't really read, but you turn on the TV, whoop, there he is. He's still there in the Nick cartoon. It's like I don't know. It's not really it's not really like he's dead here, so you're never gonna see him again. He's not gonna be in a new Turtle cartoon. He's not gonna be in a new Turtle movie. Yeah, they make a new Turtle video game. Donnie's not one of the playable characters. It's just weird. It's just a strange way to describe it because not many people read the IDW comics, and even if people find out about it, oh my God, one of the turtles died. Oh, okay, it's from that comic book I don't really read. It's not like if they made like a new 80s cartoon remake, because face it, most people still know the turtles only because of 80s cartoon, and oh, Donatello's missing because he died in between episodes. It's strange. It's a strange thing, and I'm surprised how you told me that people are actually breaking down on YouTube videos. That's something I never knew. I didn't know it hit that hard. That's surprising.
Yeah, like one person like was hugging this doll or this
Like a Donatello plushie or
bear.
something.
Yeah, he picks up the Donatello one and he says, "Come here, buddy," and he's like talking about how shocked he was about how Donnie was killed off.
Oh God, but it's so weird because again, this is IDW Comics, so technically speaking, if you're a fan of the 80s, or this is not the same Donatello that was in the 80s cartoon, or if you're a Nick fan, this is not the same Donatello that has this insane crush on April or whatever they see in the Nick cartoon. It's just so strange.
Yeah, I mean, the IDW Donatello is the second oldest, not the third oldest. Usually, which is a change because usually it's like Leo, Raph, Donnie, Mikey, and in the IDW's case, it's Leo, Donnie, Raph, Mikey.
Yeah. And one thing that's also kind of that makes it a little disturbing too in a certain way is like how the art shifts so much, and it does. I mean, I know it's kind of cool because I guess it gives artists a chance, and some people find it interesting and stuff. But I just find it's just very jarring sometimes. The turtles when they started out kind of looking in this kind of weird, kind of sort of independent comic book style that was almost comparable to the image to I'm sorry to the Mirage style, but as the series kept going on and on, they started drawing them like cutesier and cutesier looking, and now they have these new shoulder pads and brace things on that they never had before, and they don't even seem to acknowledge the fact that they're new. So as far as they know, it's like they've been wearing that all the time and stuff like that. So it's like very weird how they've been drawing them cutesier and cutesier. I even read an article once that even something about Alopex, how she basically looked like this vicious werewolf fox creature when she was evil, but now that she's a good guy, oh, she looks so cute and fluffy. Don't you just want to hug her? Like they changed the art style, so it does look kind of disturbing that this cutesy wootsy, almost childlike Donatello was the one that got killed. It was kind of like that sure didn't stop him. You know how innocent he looks. That sure didn't stop Young Rocksteady from killing him in cold blood and joking about it. That's like, jeez. And that probably helps a lot with the impact of how people are so sad. Because I mean, it would have been just as bad anyway, but it just adds that extra, I guess, shock factor that this cutesy wootsy, almost childish looking Donnie with the big innocent eyes was the one that got, shell bashed, as opposed to if it was like how he looked like when the series first started, the first couple of issues where they were still wearing the red masks they looked a bit more older, they looked more mirage like, wow, you know?
Yeah. And Horace goes on to say, wow, it's not the first time this has happened to the Turtles or even Donatello, but this somehow felt a lot more powerful. I think because of how the ep was set up and that between the IDW and the Nick Donnie versions. Donnie has been really riding high on popularity. He just is really likable. This was a surprisingly powerful turn of events. And it also really, really cemented Bebop and Rocksteady as cult villains. Before they were always and still haunted by their goofy OT versions. It was hard to take them seriously, despite how popular they are, in the non even with non-EMT fans I know. It's certainly changed. Well, like I said, yes, they are haunted by their former appearances as moronic mutant man children, but uh, like even this recent version of Bebop and Rocksteady, they are are dangerous creatures. They are men who are currently working for the Shredder against their will and are mutations and the Turtles because they were somewhat involved in their mutations. But they are also seeing the benefits of their mutations, which makes them even worse as characters.
And I gotta say though, it's gonna be kind of weird because the more generations keep going and going, like we got Rocksteady being so dangerous and powerful in the comics. We got VR Rocksteady being dangerous and stuff in the cartoon, the new one, I mean. And of course, you can imagine it'll probably be the same way in the stupid Michael Bay sequel and whatever. And you know, as time goes on, because you know, the more we go, the more we demand more and more dangerous enemies. You know, the whole bumbling idiots that are so stupid that you even wonder why the bad guy keeps them around anymore stuff is really dying down. So we can only predict that as we get more and more turtle cartoons later on in year 2000, year 3000, whatever, any incarnation of VR Rocksteady is still going to be dangerous and strong or whatever in some shape or form. It's going to be so weird for people to look back at the 80s cartoon like on some kind of retro thing or, ooh, I didn't know they had the turtles back then or whatever, and to see these same badasses they're so used to being so damn stupid and incompetent and tripping over each other and whatever.
And doing strange things like riding on the Shredder's lap and steering. Yeah.
That kind of thing, exactly. And of course Shredder himself being an idiot, but yeah.
Yeah.
But to my defense, I always felt OT Shredder was always trying his darnest to be as evil as can be. It's just he was severely limited by you know how dumb your Rocksteady are, the incompetence, you know, bad luck with the turtles, Krang basically messing with him. It's like Krang wanted to carry out a mission, but I'll only give you like about maybe two soldiers to help you out. You know, it's like all these things, but you still get ideas that Shredder, if allowed, would have probably been as dangerous. I mean, he tried to do things like cook the turtles and slice them up, and there was an episode where April was falling off a building, and he actually caught her. But since she had this weird, like this magical ring that he needed, he's like, okay, I'll take the ring now. Okay, off to your death you go, and drops her again, which of course you know, the turtle save her, of course, but had April actually hit the pavement there, it wouldn't look as funny seeing Shredder just drop her that way. And that's one of the things I pointed out in my article too, that even though the cartoon was cute and goofy and blah blah blah, I mean, a lot of these things would have had horrible, messy consequences if it wasn't for, you know, good guys got there on time. I mean, Krang was ready to throw Splinter out a window. He was saying, like, you know, give up or this rat go splat. And it would not be a funny cartoon if we actually got to see the rat go splat. And we saw Mikey almost escape having acid gushed all over him. You know, April almost got the Technodome run over her. I mean, there was just so many things that would have been a lot gorier and messier had the turtles not arrived in the very last minute.
And like there was like one episode of the OT where they Shredder kidnaps Donatello and forces him to like essentially fix something, and Donatello's like being not being guarded or something. In fact, when Shredder has his back to Donatello and says like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, Krang. The turtle I captured is the brainy one." It's like, uh, not a smart move, and Donnie is essentially biding his time until his friends can come save him.
Yeah. And just so many examples. And the one that really got me, even as a kid, the one that got me was April suffocating in a airtight bank vaults because well safe basically because I don't know out of everything else the cartoon had that was all cartoony mutants laser beams giant wacky robots and stuff like that giant monsters and whatever like actually like dying from suffocation and you actually see April passing out and stuff that really hit me hard as a kid because that just felt like a more realistic death than anything else the cartoon throws at you. I'm surprised they went that far, and I'm surprised they even had Vernon just casually joke about it. That was strange. That episode was kind of strange like that. Like I don't know. That was a weird one. I don't know whose idea was that. Okay, we're getting too dark here. Let's have Vernon make a little joke and whatever. But still, the joke was cold. It's like, oh my god, I think April's dead. But on the bright side, folks, I will keep reporting in her place. It's like, geez.
Yeah, some friend you are.
I mean, like I said, I know it's a joke, ha ha, but damn, that's a dark joke, and that made Vernon look like 10 times douchier.
And not to mention, with Donnie's death, both the IDW and the Nicktoons version have been making an effort to give Donatello a personality. Whereas, oh yeah, he's the smart guy. Yeah, a lot of the episodes center around him, but he's just the smart guy. And the Nicktoons, like, they give Donnie a personality, and like Horace has even pointed out that the whole Apertello thing is very polarizing. And
But I still think it still helps a bit more in a way because I mean, like you said before he was just the smart guy and that's it. Now he's a smart guy, but he's also in love with April. So some of his attention is divided. It's divided between making the next thing like a ninja smoke bomb or the power cell on the Turtle Band 2015 edition. But now his attention is also divided between that and trying to get April's attention and everything. So it's like it establishes because we're all multifaceted characters. We all have different goals in life, not just one thing. So that divides his attention, despite everyone hating it so much. And then on the other side, it brings a whole new thing between him and Casey. Because honestly, we have never really seen Donnie and Casey really do anything together in any other version. He's always mostly Raph's friend and stuff like that. So now we have this divide where at first he couldn't stand his competition against April and stuff, but there's some episodes where he realized that hey they're kind of cool and Donnie's not that bad. Hey, Casey's not that bad. They do kind of sort of get along, but it always kind of you know how it is. I'm your friend, but if you keep having going after my girl, I'm still gonna get pissed at you. So they had the kind of strange love hate thing going on, and yeah, people complain about. But that's how life works sometimes too. People complain like, well, how come they got along in this episode, but oh, the next episode they're fighting again over April. But that's just how it works sometimes. Sometimes you might have a good friend and maybe you both like the same girl, but let's say you guys been friends for a couple of years before the girl entered the picture. You're still gonna hang out and still be buds, but if the girl starts going over one over the other, you're still gonna keep fighting over that. You're not gonna let that go. So it does bring a lot of personality to Donnie between being the smart guy, the guy in love with April, and the guy with this kind of weird, I guess, hate love relationship, romance, no whatever, with Casey. So it does build his character, even though people are complaining about it.
yeah, and like I've seen people on the drum like say like, "Oh, why is Casey hanging out with Donnie so much? He's Raph's friend." And it's like, "Yeah, well, he's Raph's friend and he's still Raph's friend. It's just that he has relationships with all the other turtles as well. So he's not going to just solely hang out with Raph."
Although I do agree though, we do need a couple of episodes with Raph and Casey just doing stuff because they really like push that over the rug. It's like basically in their intro episode they did the whole best buzz thing like oh my god now we got two Raphaels but after a while they really forgot about it. In the other episode where I forgot what it was about that Casey was, I guess, trying to show his worth. It was mostly Raphael putting him down and saying, "We don't need you. You're useless" and stuff. So, like, I think that was only like just that one episode or so where they really had the whole friends thing going on. And of course, everyone was happy and rejoicing and expecting that. But of course, here comes the plot amnesia again. So they never really
I think a lot of their hangout time is actually off screen. Like, I mean, we do see them hanging out in the invasion episode, and of course, the most recent episode where Casey went after the Shredder. You have Raph saying, like, no, you can't go after the Shredder. You have no chance against the Shredder. We barely have a chance against the Shredder.
Exactly, but it is few and far between though, and for people complaining about like how we see more episodes now of Casey and Donnie either working together at each other's throats or both. They need more episodes of Raph and Casey. They just gotta show that more because, like you said, off screen, but that doesn't really count. I mean, for all we know, um, Mikey could go up with ice cream every weekend with April off screen, and yet we'll never know that they even talk. They barely share screen time. So it's like they gotta start showing that, which is I think why there's so many people complaining about Raphael getting shafted, basically in that aspect.
Fortunately, the Mondo Gecko episode looks like a Casey Mikey episode, so we're going to see some Casey interacting with Mikey a little.
Hmm, interesting. I one thing about Mondo Gecko though, he never really um lived up to what he was supposed to be. Basically, I hope the cartoon kind of did that because well, at least when you buy the toy, the original toy action figure, the back of the card, described it that he was basically like the extreme dude surfer, skater version of Mikey, and you were both supposed to hang out and be best buds. They were both supposed to be like the same kind of like oh bunga dude, all that stuff, and we never really get to see that in the old cartoon. He was only there for an episode or so, but I mean, I don't remember him like offhand talking or acting like that. He had a more or less normal kind of personality. He didn't have like the whole "whoa, dude, that's like totally awesome." He did not talk or act like that. And then in the well, in this well in the Archie comic books, he was kind of with them. They kind of hung out for a bit, but then he joined the Mutant Animals, and that's it. He left the series. He got his own thing. Mikey and Mondo barely got to hang out much, besides an issue or two.
He was killed along with the mute animals, so
Yeah, exactly. And then again, now we got the OT. Well, I'm sorry, the IDW comic books introduced again. They just share a random panel like, "Whoa, you got a totally awesome board there, dude. Yeah, thanks, man. Like totally handmade. And that's it. And now he's again going to join the Mutant Bulls and also have his own series and all that kind of stuff. And of course, he has very different. I don't know, they're just different. So it's just I don't know. So I hope that when they do bring him in this cartoon, they can finally follow it up and have them both be a couple of dude bros together, like how it was originally intended to be, at least based on the back of the toy card thing.
unfortunately they're having Robbie Riss, the voice of 1990 Michelangelo or the 1990 movie Michelangelo playing Mondo. So
Yeah, I remember that, but let's see how that turns out. But anyways, I'm think we're pretty much I think we covered all the basic points we want to bring out. I were there any other quotes from other people?
well, what kind of lasting effects that would Donnie actually have with all of this, like, and the turtles themselves as well? Because we know this whole tragic event will affect them personally.
Well, Donatello's case, like I said, I mean, it might give them that whole thing that might be the big shocking thing that may want them to quit, and that'd be interesting too. They could probably do a little story arc there because these are the comic books. Usually these kind of big themes of cartoons will not go into that deep, but the comic books will. They could do a small arc with him doubting himself, wanting to quit, but of course something or someone talks him into keep fighting or something like that. But that'd be interesting. If they go the whole cyborg route, that'll be interesting too. But again, with the whole hoopla of the issue 50, whatever, I don't know if they're gonna do that because they're gonna have 5 issues to somehow resolve that. So you could have all four turtles front and center for issue 50. Which like I said, I wish you wouldn't do that. Just keep going. Don't sacrifice potential storylines just because. Oh my God, dude, issue 50. Just keep going with what you're doing. But
And I could I could see Leo kicking himself a little bit because he uh, when Donnie says he's going to stay behind, Leo's like, "Are you sure, Donnie?" or something, or so he kind of sort of senses something's up, but he doesn't. But they're on a time limit, so he can't really ask.
yeah, well, Leo, that's him. He's always gonna kick himself somehow. My fault. How could I not see this happening? All that stuff. Raphael, of course, is going to be violent and full of rage and stuff, but yeah, like I said, in this particular case, the bad guys are just too strong. I don't know if he can really do rage or not, you know. And then, well, Mikey, who knows? It's hard to say. I mean, he'll be sad and stuff, but you never know. I mean, just this. I mean, they might one day dare to go to the territory of this is what that went too far. This is what made Mikey snap, and we could see him become like a Raphael kind, at least for an issue or so until the anger subsides. You know, we never know what might happen. And of course, Splinter's gonna be, you know, heartbroken and everything too. But like I said, I really hope you don't waste this opportunity and really show off what the Foot will do in Shredder's absence.
Yeah. And well, unlike the Nick show, at least the IDW doesn't suffer from plot amnesia.
Exactly. Oh God, I mean, IDW is like what people might call plot porn. Basically, it goes so deep into the plot, and it goes so back to issues of things that you might not have thought were important, but then you're like, oh my God, it just all these things like revealing that Future Toy was Chet all along. You know, bringing Lindsay back into the storylines. You're like, oh crap, what? You know, like all these things they keep bringing up here and there that you really gotta pay attention and you really gotta like read because what you might not think is important now may be a big thing later. And then like you know Hun being Casey's father, and it's just so many things. So yeah, that one does not have plot amnesia.
Yeah. Like, in Taurus's views, this is what they had given five plausibilities. The first one is he is resurrected, reincarnated in some mystical fashion via the Pantheon slash Rat King. There will be some price to pay either in his mind, Splinter's life, or April. And I say April because I think the writers might like to imply something unpleasant may happen to April in the Nicktoons if events start shadowing the same plot ideas. And I say no to that one, or I hope not. Seriously, I hope not. Two is he recovers but will never walk again, become wheelchair bound and similar to the kind of turtle version of Charles Xavier. Uh, Support away from fighting, and I could see that for a time, maybe. But I don't see Donnie really being in that condition for the rest of his life.
Oh, like I said, he's got 5 issues to do it, so
Yeah, and then three, he recovers, but he's very weak and has to have an armored shell to cover the damage. Eventually, we'll have to face Bebop and Rocksteady later down the line, and yeah, that is likely to happen. Like,
he might have the whole you know post traumatic stress disorder upon seeing them again.
because they killed him, or they held him down and essentially made him senseless. Four, he recovers, but he's crippled from the waist down and ends up enhancing, replacing his lower limbs with cybernetics. I could see cybernetic bracings, if not going full on cyborg, because of it, yes. And the fifth one is his body is crippled with no chance of repair, with his soul is trapped in Metalhead. He decides he does not want to face the future, even if his body does awaken, knowing he would be a burden on the others, and that he would only deteriorate further. He is deeply upset and deeply traumatized by what has happened. In the end, he decides to turn off his own life support, then linger in near death. He then lets Metalhead power down until his soul dissipates, and we get a tragic end to the character.
No, no, that's just no.
I mean, sort of. I mean, we don't know if his body is trapped, his soul is trapped inside Metalhead, and I doubt that would be the case. Like I said, metaphor for Donnie needing a machine to keep him alive. So, but yeah, I can see like maybe one of the turtles contemplating like turning off his life support so he doesn't have to suffer anymore.
Yeah, but it's just I don't know. I mean, if they go that route, they really gotta power up Metalhead to some super kick-ass machine. Because like I said, they just do him like like a piece of crap toy. He'll barely be an asset if they do a rematch. It's just I mean I don't know. It's just strange. That's a strange way to do it.
Mm-hmm. And the final thing I'd like to think of is like if the Nicktoons did decide to do something like sort of like this. Like we know it suffers from it's a kids network, it's a kids show, itis, so it's not going to go that violent. if anything, they would probably have. But how would you see the Nicktoon pulling it off, or any cartoon rather, if because one someday there is going to be a cartoon version based off the IDW comic.
I'm not sure, but the thing is, it's like what we were talking about a little bit while we were still getting things ready for the podcast and everything. That if it did something like that, they would probably like have, you know, said turtle hit by a sledgehammer or bat or something, but the character would act like he was just punched in the face and just thrown back like nothing. And even though the character himself, what you actually see on screen, he looks just fine. All the characters are gonna be like, "Oh my God, his shell's cracked. Oh my God, it's been knocked loose. Oh my God, we might lose him and everything," and then keep him out of commission for an episode or two.
With the Dark Wrath, I see something like that happening as we barely see April or Donnie in preview. So that means any shots of him would be more or less spoiler. And we know that Slash and Rockwell are going to be on the team, and Shredder is wanting to have a cure for Karai, and we know Donnie can make a cure. He can make Retromugen, but the Retromugen he was able to make doesn't work on Karai. So that's the catch-22 there. And we know Shredder doesn't really have any interest in Donatello. He's not really the capture type in this version. So having Rockwell read his mind and then having Flash and Raph doing away with him afterwards, that would probably be a way to go. And like and even if they did do something like that, like we'd never really see the impact or the actual event happening. It would be like you just see like maybe Donnie getting held down and like begging Raph like not to do this, and while Slash lifts the morning star he has, and then scene shifts to like just outside the room, so all we see is Slash's shadow bringing down the mace, or it just shifts to the other turtles, so we don't.
Yeah, but to be fair, I mean, the actual panel of the sledgehammer actually hitting Don's shell was still drawn in this weird, I guess, zoomed in, all red, weird artistical way. It wasn't like you don't actually see it like like clear.
We see a silhouette of Donnie. That's all.
But I guess we'll see what happens. But I'm like I said, I'm just shocked of the way they did it. If you heard somewhere it's gonna, because it's just weird. I mean, yeah, he fell off a helicopter and stuff with some random no name cyborg, but this is more like established characters like you have Rocksteady actually doing it and doing it that way. Like it's just like damn. I mean, they could have just throw him on another building, but it's like the editor said, hey, this sounds fun. We drew him with a sledgehammer. Let's actually have him bash his shell open. Ha ha ha! Let's do that.
Like heck, they could just break his neck without trying, because you had like that one part where.
Well, exactly, but at least I mean, if you do something like that, then there really is no way back. There really is no weird, I guess, comic book mumbo jumbo to somehow bring him back.
Yeah, but they are sadistic, so I don't think quick neck breaking is going to be their style.
Exactly. And of course, we have the obvious thing. You know that whenever the turtles face them again, they're going to be poking jokes like, oh, great, we get to squish another one, or, oh, we're going to beat you worse than the last one. Oh, dude, you totally should have seen what your brother looked like without the shell. Like, they're going to add insult to injury there.
Uh, or yeah, like really rub it in. It's like, oh, I hope this is fun. It's like meeting the last one, and they were like, what? You killed our brother or something?
Yeah, that kind of thing. Well, I guess, yeah, I think we covered all our points for now. But one thing I want to say, because I believe you mentioned that the Sewer Sirens, which is another podcast series, gave us a shout out. So I do believe they deserve a shout out back. So yeah, check out the Sewer Sirens, and I believe
Be sure to check out their
yeah, and I believe you actually were in one of their episodes.
yeah, I had joined in on some of their episodes.
I see. But yeah, my schedule is always busy or whatever. But I wouldn't mind cameoing in whatever episode of them if our times coincide and everything. But that'd be cool. So I guess that wraps up this particular episode. It's pretty interesting, and we are gonna try our very hardest to get this out soon because I do know that the next issue will be out in maybe a week or so. And of course, once that happens, well, that basically kills this podcast episode. So we're gonna try hard to get this out and online.
I'll have a link in the show notes for the Sewer Sirens, but please check them out if you have the chance because they are worth listening.
Yes, and also I'll probably put a link to my article on my review of Turtles issue 44, and Venka also did an article based on just the fact that what happened to Donnie in general. We'll also put a link to her article down there too.
And if you have any thoughts to add or to any of our discussions or questions, please um, feel free to put them in the comments section or heck, just email them to us via YouTube as a private message because we'd be happy to read them on air and discuss their thoughts.
Yes, that's cool. Just like how Venka read out some comments from some fellow Television fans here, we could do the same thing. If you got any epic comments, thoughts, or opinions, or what do you call it, predictions. I mean, yeah, we'll be glad to read them out. I mean, you never know if we get enough, because sometimes we do episodes like we had an episode about the Turtle movie. This episode's about this Donatello. What's the situation? We might do specific episodes based on certain events that aren't exactly about the TV episodes, but just something related to the turtles. So I mean, if we get enough comments, we might do an episode.
Character discussion episodes or something, and
Yeah, but I'm saying if we get enough comments from you guys out there, we might even do an episode that's just about us reading your comments. So and of course, shout outs.
so until next time, this is Venka Lee Faye. I'm the Lavender Ninja.
And Mark Rodriguez here, the Orange Ninja.
Peace out.
Yep, have a good one, guys.